Namaskar, students. I welcome you to the postgraduate diploma in yoga, and this is the session on yoga psychology. So, let us. I am Vijay Singh Gusai. I am Masters in Psychology, Masters in Yoga and Science of Living, with a PhD degree in Stress and Mental Health. I am serving as an assistant professor in the Department of Yoga Science, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri National Sanskrit University, Delhi. So let us, we have in our entire syllabus of 90 days, we have two main terms to understand initially because this is an introductory lecture. So let us first understand what is not yoga, what is not psychology, and then understand what really yoga is and what really psychology is. So, here I am presenting 10 misconceptions about yoga. And the first one misconception what yoga is not is some people thinks that yoga is asana or some kind of a physical practice or system of exercise. But asana and some system of exercise like sukshma vyayamas, all other are merely part of the yoga, but not the entire yoga, as similarly my finger is a part of my total personality. Similarly, yoga is not merely pranayam or not merely about breathing exercise or a system of breathing exercise, because it also forms part of yoga, not the entire yoga. Similarly, some people think that yoga is japa and satsang, but japa and satsang are merely part of mantra yoga or bhakti yoga, but not the entire bhakti yoga, just a part of one type of yoga. Similarly, yoga is not a relaxation response or shitilikaran. Herbert Benton wrote a book and he called yoga as a relaxation response. So this is again a misconception about yoga because rishis and muni used to practice yoga in the jungles and their ashram not to become relaxed because they were already relaxed. It is a true that relaxation is part of most type of yoga because when the body or mind is relaxed, if the body is relaxed, mind become relaxed. If the mind is relaxed, the body become relaxed. The fifth conception misconception is yoga is only meditation. So it is not true. Meditation is also part of yoga. Sixth point is yoga is not again the Hindu religion because yoga is more about spirituality. It is more about the lifestyle, quality of life. It is more about the development of health, personality, transforming yourself, not about a Hindu religion. Another point is some people think that yoga is a trick of magic, so that is also not true. Yoga has nothing to do with the trick of magic. Some hatha yogi with their long term practice do achieve some extra sensory perceptions and they can do something supernatural things, but these are like a gifts in the path of the progressive journey of yoga, but it is not the achievement of those tricks. And the eighth point is yoga is not some cult or creed or caste or gender. It is not that true that yoga can be practiced by certain gender and not by others. In the whole world, all gender, all kind of a creed follower or caste can do yoga. Some people have a misconception that yoga is sannyasa, means you need to get away from the society, withdraw from the society. So that is also not true. You don't need to leave or discontinue living a normal life. Some people think that yoga is a bhoga, which means essential enjoyment. So that is also not true. So let us understand now what really yoga is. So yoga is, in terms of the Vedanta and Tantra, or in terms of understanding of state of the consciousness, yoga is a state of union of the soul and supreme soul, or consciousness and supreme consciousness, or Shiva and Shakti. Secondly, the yoga is a state of harmony between body, mind, and soul, and this kind of understanding has been accepted by UNESCO. Third, as a yoga as a status, which Patanjali says, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha, which means yoga is a complete cessation of mental modification which happens in samadhi. As a process and method, the yoga is achieving the unachieved, means whatever perfections, educations, abilities are within, yoga help us to unmanifest that abilities. And this definition has been said by Sayana, yogena praptasya prapti, yogena apraptasya prapti. As a process of development, Patanjali says yoga is an involution process. Involution means from gross toward the subtle development. And as a discipline, yoga is both art and science of self discovery, art and science of quality living. And this idea has been accepted by the most yoga teachers. Another understanding of yoga is that yoga is a method and process of attaining holistic health. When I say holistic, I mean physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. And similarly, another understanding of yoga is a method and process of developing integrated personality, not developing your physical strength, flexibility on all that, but also building your mental capacity, also inculcating emotional stability, and so the spiritual self. In terms of a discipline, yoga is a discipline, systematic, controlled, and patiently practice of yoga methods and principles. So, like it is a discipline. And one more thing, yoga is a science of consciousness because initially the yogis used to practice yoga more for the spirituality, more about the internal development, internal world, and for the everything for everything what is inside, like a mind, ego, intellect. The yogis used to use term chetana, consciousness. So yoga is also a science of consciousness. Why science? Because yogis experimented, made a systematical experiments and observation, and then after their conclusion, they devised certain methods of developing ego, stabilizing ego, intellect, and calming down the mind. So let us now understand what psychology is not and what psychology is. When I say psychology, I mean modern psychology. So modern psychology is not the study of mind, it is not the study of consciousness, and even not the study of a spirit. Why? Modern psychology is not a study of these three elements because modern psychology has been developed as a science, and definition of science is the body of knowledge obtained from systematic observation and experimentation. And none of these three, the mind, consciousness, and spirit, can be systematically observed and experimented upon. So mind, consciousness, and spirit are not the part of scientific study of modern psychology. So let us now move forward. What really psychology is? Psychology is the scientific study of behavior. Psychology is scientific study of mental processes. Mental processes means sensation, perception, cognition, memory, emotions, motivations, or etc. Thinking, problem solving. Or we can combine it. Psychology is the scientific study of human and animal behavior and mental processes. And last but not the least, modern psychology is eclectic in approach, inclusive in approach. It means it it encompasses few other scientific disciplines, like it encompasses the principles and conclusions and facts from the anatomy and physiology, sociology, and anthropology. So when I say modern psychology, I also mean the anatomy, physiology, sociology, and anthropology are very much part and parcel of modern psychology. Now, what is yoga psychology? Traditionally, the yoga philosophy, which is also known as Patanjali Yoga Sutra, is called yoga psychology, and it has been said by Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan in his books Indian Philosophy. Why he called? Because Patanjali's Yoga Sutra is more about the inner self, more about the what types of my mental states, what are the various types of perception, and what happens when an individual go through the journey of meditation and concentration, and it guides us. That is why it was called yoga psychology. Secondly, in perspective of those who are experts of Indian psychology, from their perspective, yoga psychology is a branch of Indian psychology which is related to the ideas of structure and function of mind, ego, intellect, consciousness, and also the soul. And finally, psychological ideas of structure and function of mind, ego, and intellect, consciousness prevailed in the three sources of yoga knowledge, especially the ideas of yoga psychology prevailed in the Vedanta, Sankhya Yoga, and Tantra. It was meant as yoga psychology. But in the modern education, the yoga education, which is very much now taught in school and university, yoga psychology is actually the integration of yoga and modern psychology. Yoga psychology is the application of principle and practices of modern psychology in the understanding of principle and practices of yoga. Thirdly, yoga psychology is the scientific application of principle and practices of yoga in the modern psychological perspective. And finally, the yoga psychology is a multidisciplinary discipline, an emerging or developing discipline. So I thank you very much for watching this video. Thanks for giving me your eyes and ears. In next class, I will teach you about what do we understand by the behavior, what do we understand by the more mental processes, and in my third lecture, I will cover the nature of yoga psychology. So thank you very much for your time. Namaste.